Good morning, everyone. It's a great pleasure and a privilege for me to be very honest. Uh, Firstly, to be part of this program that our law school has organized today, along with the district, state uh, legal services authority. Uh, my reverence to our honorable justice, who is the chief guest here and is leading in terms of his scholarly judgments that he normally gives. I am aware of few of them, to be very honest. I would not say that I know it completely, but then having known that sir would be coming today, I did look into the profile and saw and requested some of the law faculty members to give me an insight into the judgments that he has been giving out. They truly give you the insight that he's not only scholarly but understands the intersection of various disciplines that pass through it. Two more our distinguished guests who are present, three of them in fact, who are present here on the dais itself. A lot of judicial officers who are present in front of me. We thank you for giving us this opportunity and for organizing this paralegal training program for our budding lawyers who are present here. VIPS has a history in terms of when we started off. My father, sir, was in Mayawati. He's an initiated disciple of the Ramakrishna order, and he was, engulfed, I would say, in Swamiji's, philosophy of, changing, the youth of this country. And this is where this idea, kind of germinated into his mind. And when we thought of, an educational institution in Delhi in the name of Swamiji, our intentions were checked so many times by, whenever we used to approach, when initial years, I still remember, year 2000 when we started off, we were requesting a lot of, people from academia to, join us and, lead those initiatives and, built up a new school based on Swamiji's ideals and ideology. And they were checking on, a lot of our, credence and our intentions, because they said there are so many private institutions. Why one more would make a difference, to people of Delhi and to this nation per se. But I think what later on, because if I look back, and there's a famous, address by Steve Jobs, where he was addressing, students from Stanford. And it's a very famous talk, you can possibly see it on YouTube, which is Stay Hungry, Stay Foolish, where he says that you can only, figure out life when you start connecting dots backwards. It is a big leap, and a giant leap of faith when you're in present and you have to move forward. You can only move forward with a giant leap of faith. But when I connect those dots back together and, recall a lot of those moments and talk to those professors who had joined earlier, what their answer was very simple, and that kind of took us by our feet, was that we could see the intentions were very honest. And why the intentions were honest was because my father, we all know about Vajra was made of the thunderbolt, as they say. जैसे ऋषि दधीच ने अपने हड्डी से उसको बनवाया, लेकिन उसके पीछे जो उनका तप था, तपश्चर्या थी जिस प्रकार से उनकी, I think that is what something the intention was. And I don't want to be self-pompous here in terms of wanting to say what VIPS stood for, but then they say that your intentions were very genuine, and we could see that you were trying to make an honest attempt in terms of changing the face of this nation. And it was a big statement in terms of, because we knew that we had to take those tiny steps, begin somewhere with Delhi, not just visualize ourselves at a national level. But then, yes, today where we stand, I think we are proud of what we are today, and that has been a lot because of our students, our faculty who are present here. They have been the core strength in terms of what VIPS is all about today. The work culture, the ethos that they practice, every gesture that they do, and I think it comes with a lot of framework of serving the nation in terms of whatever is imbibed. So we never left the ideology of Swamiji, and our motto also clearly states that our mission is man making, character building, and nation building in the process. And thankfully, we have rolled out, I think 60 all judicial officers have been, have passed out through the portals of this institution. There are a lot many people who have gone in for JAG and joined armed forces, all three of them. Then we have advocate on record, and people have been doing, remarkably well in terms of what they could, give out to society at large. Again, as I said, Swamiji and his ideals are with us, and I will take a little more time, sir. I don't want to, because I know time is a constraint here, and I don't want to, run out of it. But then I need to share a few things, because it is important for these young students sitting here, because if they do not understand what we are here to do, and it is not just about, being a part of, that training that they undergo, but then if you do not have seva bhav, and you do not have that within you that you need to help the underprivileged, I think you should bleed like Swamiji bled for them. He wept for them. That is the kind of jazba jisko bolte hain. That is what we need from you people, so that you are able to understand the pains that people go through and why do they go through. And I think the Delhi State Legal Services and at the national level also, they are doing a remarkable job in terms of providing, free legal aid services and other things. It's a huge, relief to people who do not have access to, expensive lawyers, and, they are out of reach. At times, justice is only meant for people who have money with them, unfortunately. But then this initiative itself is changing how legal, how justice should be dispensed to a larger audience and to public at large. I have few quotes with me which I kind of scripted down, and I would share it with you, because equal justice under law is not merely a caption. It perhaps is the most inspiring ideal of our society. It is one of the ends for which our entire legal system exists. It is fundamental that justice should be the same in substance and availability, without regard to the economic status. Second, there can be no equal justice where kind of trial a man gets depends on the amount of money that he has. And that's where we need to kind of break those molds and come out as, as Swamiji said, the divinity, the perfection within, and we need to, understand that we are all humans. Until the time we do not uplift our own countrymen and, know their sufferings very well, we will not be able to. And there is a complete lack of whatever we saw here. The last, act that our team played here in the street play, दुष्यंत कुमार की जो इन्होंने लास्ट जो वो पढ़ी, जिसमें है कि भाई सूरत बदलनी चाहिए. It is something that sets your whole body to fire. If you really want to feel each word of it and what exactly it means, I think that should set your whole body to fire, and you should be able to inspire others and have a multiplier effect rather than end it there. I will read a few more just to cut short on time. I've skipped a lot of it already, so that I don't because there are many more eminent speakers present here who will give you much better insights. So it says, we educated privileged lawyers have a professional and a moral duty to represent the underrepresented in our society, to ensure that justice exists for all, both legal and economic. And true peace is not merely absence of tension, it is presence of justice. That was by Martin Luther King Jr. When justice is denied, where poverty is enforced, where ignorance prevails, and where any one class is made to feel that society is an organized conspiracy to oppress, rob, and degrade them, to neither person nor property would be safe. And those are very powerful words. When I, kind of reread them, it gives you an essence of why, dispensing justice on an equal platform is equally important for a society to, rise as a whole. And we cannot do that till the time we have people who work together. There's one small poem which I'll end with. I don't know, it's Justice Chug. I don't know how many of you possibly, and this is more about, the poetic, justice, the judgment that he wrote. And it's quite surprising to see that, a judge, possibly would go to the extent of writing a very poetic judgment, though they would mention sections and whatnot. And this is a Railway Code 2016. And I think most of you would be knowing, but then for students, they should listen to each word very carefully. This was a case which came to him, which was listed before him, about a poor boy who was selling tea without license in a railway, compartment. And he was brought to before the court of law for justice. And the judge was undergoing the moral dilemma of what needs to be done, because looking at his condition, knowing his background, that his father hung himself and committed suicide because of, the overburdening of loans and other things, he was trying to make a very decent living for himself, not doing any kind of theft or other things, but then wanting to live a very decent, respectful life. And yet he was caught and brought before law. So now his moral dilemma is that whether I should look for law and do justice to somebody on a social equitable platform, where I should let the boy go and exonerate him. And he did that exactly ultimately, but then the poem is deeply touching. So he writes, and I would repeat it for you people. And sir, it will just take 2 more minutes. I'm sorry if I'm exceeding time. After thinking endlessly of days and nights, a young boy was produced before me. His abject poverty was for all to see in rich India of poor people. Being poor was his crime. The welfare state decided that he should serve his jail time. He was accused of selling tea without a license in a train. He was a migrant from a drought-ridden village, which one could see his sheer pain. His father had hung himself on a tree from the mounting debts on seeds. He wanted to break free. With that torn shirt, as if modesty was just for the rich, law or justice, I could at first pick which. Why do you seek justice? This is a court of law, you see. Couldn't say that to him and still be me. So that's the moral dilemma with the judge. An end in itself, law has become. Why couldn't we recalibrate the scales of justice? Should we try? It's dry, blindfold diktat, an arbitrary whim, chose to exonerate him, but didn't say anything. The law required me to punish him. It's dry. How could I ask him not to earn his bread when the state couldn't bring? Could I think of a more honorable way this boy could have earned a living selling honest tea with fair billing? If I went by the strict letter and the spirit of the law, and I should impose fine, I won't be able to sleep with. I'm sorry, I lost it somewhere in the papers that I have, so bear with me. I'll just take a minute and then. And it's a very moving, incident that is being narrated, and that gives you an idea as to what the challenges are before us and this country, possibly, with the kind of people around us. Yeah. So it says that, and I will repeat once again. I wouldn't be able to sleep with the already vexed conscience of mine, for legal authority was there, but moral authority I had none. The nation's law had somewhere failed, and poverty had won. Back then, Chug has exonerated such poor boys. And I would, with those words, plead to a lot of you young people here, sitting here, that you need to, keep that in mind, that Swamiji's idols, and he would possibly, criticize people that education has no relevance if you are not able to help others. So I think that is what the central message is. And I thank you once again, sir, for listening to me very patiently and for giving me this opportunity. And I'm honored, deeply honored. Thank you so much.